الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين بارئ الخلائق أجمعين باعث الأنبياء والمرسلين الواحد الأحد الفرد الصمد الذي لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد ثم الصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين وخاتم السفراء الكبراء المقربين العبد المؤيد الرسول المسدد المصطفى الأمجد المحمود الأحمد حبيب إله العالمين أبي القاسم محمد سيدنا وبقية الله في الأراضين واللعن الدائم على أعدائهم أجمعين من الآن إلى قيام يوم الدين آمين يا رب العالمين. قال الله الحكيم في محكم كتابه الكريم وقرآنه العظيم أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم ألم تر كيف ضرب الله مثلا كلمة طيبة كشجرة طيبة أصلها ثابت وفرعها في السماء تؤتي أكلها كل حين بإذن ربها ويضرب الله الأمثال للناس لعلهم يتذكرون ومثل كلمة خبيثة كشجرة خبيثة اجتثت من فوق الأرض ما له من قرار يثبت الله الذين آمنوا بالقول الثابت في الحياة الدنيا. God has given us a very accurate analogy in these verses of Quran that I just recited. All praises be to Him who gave us the blessing and the opportunity to participate in this noble gathering and think and talk about this very important topic. The topic, as you know, is around Muharram and Ashura. We had a preliminary visit last night with a group of you sisters and brothers. Some of you were absent. We briefly started an introductory to this course that I will touch the basis of it and summarize it for those of you who were absent so we can get the same page, inshallah. We posed several questions and tried to get ourselves primed and ready for thinking about Ashura in a different perspective, probably a new perspective. And hoping that Allah will guide us to discover something that we can benefit from them on our daily basis and our future, inshallah. We talked about the fact that the event of Ashura, which has taken place almost 1400 years ago, is hard to be related to today's issues if we do not know how to interpret it and how to understand it and how to justify it. Every year, at least once a year, which is in Muharram, but in many cases much more than once a year, we commemorate Imam Hussein and we commemorate the event of Ashura. One may ask us, why is it the case? Why do we even care so much about an event which took place in a very, very remote area long times ago, and it was not a very major catastrophical event from the statistical perspective. And then we raised some questions. These questions may sound not very friendly, but they are real. They are the questions and the challenges that we, the Shia and the followers of Ahlul Bayt, who are bestowed with the blessing of love of Ahlul Bayt, are confronted by, and we are challenged by those questions. These questions are real. One may ask us, why do we celebrate or commemorate this event, whereas it was not anything much different from many other events of the same kind in the history. Not in the history of mankind, even in the history of Islam itself, we have had many events that are similar to this one, as far as being in a battle between two groups and one group was defeated by the other one. It's not anything really special and different. One of the challenges that we have in this topic is that this event was not recent. This has been years and years and hundreds of years ago. Within these many centuries, we have had thousands of battles and wars between good and bad, between faithfuls and others, their enemies, and so many variety of battles. We have had huge ones before Ashura and many after Ashura. In some of those battles, we see a lot more interesting statistics than what we can find in Battle of Ashura. Still, you are trying to commemorate this little one. This is an old story. Get over it and move on. Why are you stuck to the past so much? We should be able to explain what is the wisdom behind us commemorating this issue that we are trying to, inshallah, achieve in these few nights. The other challenge is the size of this event was not that huge. We have had battles in the world that have millions of people, innocent people were killed. This is just 72 people at the most, or a little bit more or less. That's not a huge number. Why is it so significant to you? And we should be able to again justify this. Another challenge that we have is the political nature of this event. One may say, which I have already said many times, many of them in power and kind of benefit from the mass media, that this was a war between some cousins, which was nothing new and has never been an unexpected thing. It happened millions of times between the tribes. Somebody was the rebel and the other one was the ruler, and of course the ruler is confronting the rebel. What are you complaining so much? What is so special about this event? That's not any different from many of them that was in the history. We all know that there were many invitation letters and pledge of allegiance to Imam Hussein that the Kufi people sent, right? We all know that. Is anybody here who doesn't know this part of the history of Karbala? If not, raise your hand. I know you know that many people signed the letters, and several letters, and that they received. We're going to discuss, if we have time, the details that these letters had nothing to do with the movement, the uprise and the revolt of Imam Hussein, but just people try to, divert things and find the wrong interpretation of the events. So they may say that Imam Hussein was basically fooled with those letters and kind of was deceived by those who, promised him that we're going to help you. When you come here, you're going to be our governor. And he went to just rule them, and then they caught in the middle, and then those people didn't keep the promise, and that's about it. What is special about this history so much? Other challenge before us is you see that other imams never did such a thing that Imam Hussein did. Neither before Imam Hussein nor after Imam Hussein. Nobody did that kind of opposition or uprising or revolting against the government. We all know that the government always has been illegitimate by the account of imams. None of the imams really endorsed any of the governments anyways. Imam Hussein did the same thing. So what is that Imam Hussein decided to do it this way and the others different way? So if they are all the same truth, as you believe, as you share, believe they're all the same light, so why is it so different when the way that Imam Hussein acted and the others? There are so many questions. I don't want to bother you more than this and more than this with the questions that are all legitimate, and we have to be prepared to find ourselves in a strong stand that able to explain all of those and much more. I know this is an extremely complex topic. It's not a very simple one. Don't expect me to give you a Cliff Notes version of the very, very deep things. I will try my best in a very limited time that I have to summarize at least some of the topics that we can, but we have to first establish a foundation, because without those foundations, it's hard to answer any of those questions. And millions, not millions, but tens of other questions that I have that I can pose, and you will see all of them are challenging and mind-boggling. And you cannot communicate this even basically with anybody in this world, even the Muslims, let alone the non-Muslims. And then, so you are alone by yourself, stuck to this story of Ashura. You don't know what's going on. Every time, every year that we approach the time of Muharram, you feel different. Your heart beats different. Your emotions are different. Your society, your community, your family, everybody feels different. Everybody acts different. So we can't explain this phenomenon. But from the other hand, when you come to the realm of wisdom, you don't find a lot of reasoning that can convince everybody why this is that you're commemorating this after 1400 years. And then we are proud of it. And by the way, at the end of this session, if I was alive and if I was able to complete this session, you will see that your most important thing that you do for your religion is, as a matter of fact, participating in these commemorations. I'm not discounting your participation in this. I'm going to end up with this. This is the final result. The most important thing that you can do starts from the point that you commemorate the Ashura. But the issue is that how can we prove this and how can we make it reasonable and sensible for people? So this is not a very simple, straightforward issue, and unfortunately we have failed throughout the centuries, we have failed to discover the secrets in this story. Let's look at the Ashura and the importance of Ashura. Ashura is very important. We have touched this. I just don't repeat all of that again. You remember from Adam to Khatam to the last prophet, still a prophethood. Every single one of them has talked about Ashura. There should be something really different about Ashura that has never happened or is included in any other similar events. And then from Holy Prophet all the way to Imam Mahdi, every single one of them, without any exception, they have highlighted the event of Ashura immensely. And that's really interesting. Why everybody has put so much stress and invested in Ashura. There should be a reason. There should be. You have heard that narration that all of us are. Somebody asked one another. You said that in Al-Husayn's Misbahul Huda wa Safinatun Najat. he is the ark of, basically the ark of Noah. In other narrations, that everybody who attended to it saved, the others are all vanished. Aren't you all the same thing? Well, we asked this question actually from Moses, and he said, yes, we are all like Safina to Nuh, but the Safina to Jaddi and Hussein, the ark of my grandfather Hussein is different, is beyond everybody else. He has done something. I shouldn't say he has done something. He has put in a scenario in this whole play that his role is so significant. And we want to discover why is it so significant. We know about the uniqueness of Karbala and singleness of Ashura. I don't want to spend too much. Mourning and remembrance are different on Ashura than anything else. And then acceptance of dua in Karbala is different from any other places. Soil of Karbala is different from any other soil in the earth. And every occasion, happy or sad, we are ordered and recommended to commemorate Ashura. Doesn't matter, it's a happy occasion. Remember what I'm saying. It's a sad occasion. The Holy Prophet is passing away. Remember what I'm saying. Imam Ali is murdered. Remember Imam Hussein. Fatima is there. Remember Imam Hussein. Every occasion, remember Imam Hussein. This is the reason, there's a reason behind all this. If you look at it as an isolated incident, of course you may have a hard time to rationalize and justify all of that. But if you look at it as a paradigm or a school of thought, you may find something that you can reach on. There is a huge wisdom behind this event, and if we don't find that wisdom, we cannot communicate this with others, and we have the responsibility to really share this blessing with others. Otherwise, the reward of Imam Hussein will not reach to the goal and the aim of it. This is an open claim. This file has not been closed yet. All the other murdered and all the imams who were murdered, their file is closed. Imam Hussein's file is open. We are not done with this thing yet. We have a lot to do with this file. It's still in the court. It's still back and forth in the court. But if we just look at it as an incident that is just gone, gone long time ago, we have imprisoned the Ashura event in the prison of time and place, and we don't want to be the prisoner of Ashura. What sets Ashura apart from the similar events? We touched upon this a little bit last time as well. You may. I'd like to pose this question to you. If you please help me out, try to think about this question a little bit and try to share with me your thoughts. What is that makes Ashura different from all the other events in the world that fall in the same category? Can you help me out? What is that you think or you believe that is really different, so this event becomes immense and essentially above and superior to all the other wars and battles that the imams had or the prophets had and stuff like that, which is the same category of the events. Anybody, anything to share with me? Anything that comes to your minds? Think of one thing that is different about Ashura, that you see in Ashura and you don't see anywhere else. From the perspective of the event itself, historical side of it at least. You will see a group of faithful, full of iman and faith and righteousness, are fighting with a group of bad people. Is it really the only time that this happened in the history of Islam? I don't think it is the only time that this happened. you will find many, many events that fall into the same kind of attributes. Some people say severity of the brutality is really what sets it apart. Do you agree with this? Like somebody said that there is a 6-month-old baby that is being murdered in this event. It's the utmost, highest ever possible level of brutality. And one may challenge you that that's not necessarily satisfactory answer. Because we can find events in the human history, and also specifically in the Arab history, which is supposed to be named Muslim or Islamic history, that has been as brutal, if not more brutal than this, many, many events. I don't want to bore you with the narration of historical events, some tens of them that you can bring up. Just go to the history and see what had been taking place under the name of Allah, under the name of Quran, under the name of Islam, and so forth. Let alone whatever has been done outside of Islamic realm. It's very brutal, very brutal. It's very hard to prove that the level of brutality and severity of brutality is what sets Ashura apart. Thirst and hunger, some people say. This is a very dramatic event. Still, we will find many, many other events in the history that is not short of that, from the point of oppression of some people and unfairly treat some people. Some people say the divinity of Imam Hussein is the difference. In this war, Imam Hussein, that figure was murdered. Well, I'll tell you, there are other events in which Imam Ali was murdered and Imam Hassan was murdered. And do you know what Imam Hussein said about them? It's very interesting. He doesn't do any exaggeration. He just tells you the truth because he wants you to find the way. He says, Abi, my father was better than me, and my brother was better than me, and they both were killed. You can't say Imam Hussein is the number one highest personality who was murdered. You can't say that. So that is not what sets Ashura set apart from all the other things. Diversity of the murder. Some people say, okay, this field we have seen babies, old men, everybody, women, men, everybody in every category has been murdered, so maybe that is why. None of these really answers our question. Why do we still commemorate Ashura after 1400 years? It really doesn't specify. We will inshallah learn why this is the way to go. I remember Dr. Shariati, he said, he had an interesting sentence. He used to say that آنان که مردند کاری حسینی کردند و آنان که ماندند یا کاری زینبی میکنند وگرنه یزیدی‌اند. Those who fought and died are those of Hussein, and the rest of us are either doing something of the nature of Zainab job, or they are with Yazid. There is no fourth division. It's very interesting, this. Think about it. Let's look at this phenomenon from a different perspective. We need to do this before we establish that foundation in which we will find why is it that among all the events in the world that has happened, everything is forgotten, but relatively, more or less. At least they have been only in the book, historical book, like all the other wars in the world, World War II, millions of people were killed. Who cares? Who even get together to think about those people who are innocent, many of them. But this event, no. This event really matters, and really, it's always going to be more commemorated every year. Every single year it's going to be commemorated more immensely than last year. There is a secret into this thing. To understand that thing, I would like to get your attention to see it from a different perspective. We have heard a lot about lessons from Ashura. Lessons from Ashura. Let's think about the lessons from Ashura. I'm sure you have heard 100 or so of them. The lesson from the purity, the ikhlas, the lessons from braveness, the character. You name it. So many lessons are embedded into this story, this half-a-day story. These lessons are something that we can really enjoy them, and we can live with them, and we can benefit from them hundreds of times in our life, every single one of them. From the other hand, there is something called philosophy of this world. I want you to differentiate between these two, because that is one of the bases of our expedition here. Lessons of Ashura versus the philosophy of the events or the revolts. Yes, if you look at what happened, you will see so many beautiful things from all those characters that can be learned and practiced, and that is the lesson of Ashura. But I'm here to tell you, none of those lessons is the reason and the philosophy or the root of what Imam Hussein did. Isn't that interesting? In other words, Imam Hussein did not go to war and revolt against Yazid because he wanted to teach you how to be a good person. This is a little bit awkward. Think about it. Up to now, probably you have heard a million times that Imam Hussein was killed because he wanted to teach us how to be a good person, how to be a righteous person, how to be, a right follower, a good follower of Holy Prophet, and so forth. I'm telling you, no. Imam Hussein did not do that because of that. Yes, that is part of the results and the benefits of that revolt, but it is not the philosophy of this revolt. Let me give you probably a pictorial, it might help us. A tree is composed of two major parts. One part is underneath the soil, and the other part is above the soil. The part which is above the soil give you the shade, the beauties, and the fruit, right? That's what you get on the tree. But this tree has roots underneath that you might not see it. But without those roots, there is no fruit, right? You benefit from what? From the roots or from the fruit? From the fruit, right? So you will forget about the roots. By nature, that's normal. Yeah? You can just think about the fruit. Oh, what is the beautiful, gorgeous flower, or taste the fruits. This is exactly how lessons of Ashura and philosophy of Ashura are different. Lessons of Ashura are the fruit of this. کلمه طیبه که شجرة طیبه اصلها ثابت و فرعها فی السماء تؤتی اکلها کل حین بإذن ربها. This verse of Quran is matches 100% with the event of Ashura. Talks about the tree. this tree has roots as well as fruits. People benefit from the fruits, but you need to know there is a root there, and you have to learn how to take care of that root. Because if that root is corrupted or abused, the fruit is going to be gone. So you have a responsibility not before the fruit, before the roots. You benefit from the fruit, but you have responsibility toward the root, right? You have to water it. You have to take care of it. If there is any insects, you have to treat it, right? Otherwise, the whole tree is going to be gone. So the fruit of Ashura are the lessons that you have heard it hundreds of times. And they're all beautiful, they're all delicious, they're all the best fruit of soil. We are now here to discover what is the philosophy. Now, I don't know how many more minutes I have. Can you please check for me and see what is the others, how going as far as the time, how much time I have, because I want to finish right at the moment that they finish so we can join them for Azadari inshallah. I will go as far as the time allows me tonight inshallah. I hope I haven't. And then you are always welcome to ask questions at any stage of this if you want to or if you think. Please go ahead.
Can you translate that surah in English?
Oh, sure, yes. Okay, let's try our best. Have you ever seen how Allah throws an analogy for you? An example or analogy. He assimilates the word of purity, if I would say, to a tree of purity. So this word, kalameh, which is the concept, which is the idea, which is the thought, Allah puts it into a simulation with it like a tree, like a tree. If it is a pure or a righteous thought, it's like a good, beneficial tree. أصلها ثابت وفرعها في السماء. Its roots are fixed and established and very strong. And then the فرعها في السماء, the branches are all across the sky. And are there. تؤتي أكلها كل حين بإذن ربها. Every single time, by the order of its Lord, it will give out fruits. We are to learn what is the relationship between those fruits and things with the roots or underneath, and you don't see them, but you are responsible for them. In order for me to explain a little bit about what do I mean by the philosophy of Ashura, which is different from the lessons from Ashura, I have to bring up a very, very important point. Please pay an additional extra attention. Sallallahu Muhammad wa
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
Now we have 20 minutes. Great. Bless their heart. Fool you guys. I'm here 20 more minutes. Yes, what? No, whenever you feel you need to go, let me know. Tonight is the first night of this majlis, and things have been changed, switched all the architectural design of the majlis, so everything kind of delayed because of that. Hopefully it will not be the same case next night. You know, there is a chapter in Quran called Al-Asr, or swear to the time. Al-Asr, inna al-insana lafi khusr. I always recite this in my prayer, and I never get tired of this. So immense, so deep. This chapter of Quran is amazing. It's amazing. It's not time for us to talk about the content of this, but just wanted to advise you to work on this chapter of Quran. This is amazing. Bal ask in al-insan lafi khusr. The very first ayah or verse is swear to time. We wanted to benefit from that a little bit in our discussion in order to address what the philosophy of Ashura could be. It has something to do with time. The issue is that, remember when Holy Prophet started Islam, the community was absolutely in ignorance, right? In Jahiliyyah. It's one of the lowest points of mankind's culture that we can remember. Everything was really bad. If you wanted to see how bad it is, open Nahj al-Balagha and see what Omari says about what was going on during that time in the Arab Peninsula. It's amazing. And yet, Allah, by the way, in a side note, I want you to ever have this in the back of your mind, because you're young, I might not be alive enough to tell you this, to answer all those questions, but I just wanted to pose a question to you, you may find answers sometime, as I did. When I was young, somebody brought a lot of questions to my mind. I never answered those questions. I found those answers throughout the years, and now I value them a lot more, because I worked for those questions. Anyways, go back to Balas. In this verse of Quran, Allah is drawing our attention to the concept of time. When the Holy Prophet brought this message, that society was way, way down. Culturally, humanistically, whatever your measuring take is, they were really low. And then you see that there is a revolt and revolution in the whole society in a matter of short 20-something years. Out of which 13 years of it was the years that the Holy Prophet was in Mecca, and he didn't really have a lot of power to communicate things with the society. It was a little, very, very limited number of people who were kind of in touch with him and followers of him and believers of him. Practically, he had almost 8, 7, 9 years barely to rule and to run the community and the society and be the person who people listen to. Out of which, 83 different wars was waged against it. To divide those times by the number of 83, you will see that really the time that he had on his own, by himself, without getting involved in a war, it is very, very limited. With the people who had that very, very corrupt cultural background, their mentalities, you know better than I that the cultural things are not something that you can change overnight, right? You can't do that. Even if you want, even if the people want, they cannot do that. These are so deep into the bottom of your heart and your behaviors and your habits and your generation after generation of doing wrong things or right things. You cannot separate yourself overnight. Nobody can. The question and the challenge before our Creator to make us better people is that how can He set up a system in which or by which we can change continuously and get better and better continuously. Move gradually toward a different culture and correct our corruptions, knowing that it is not possible to change everything overnight. They say that Holy Prophet had a miraculous effect on the people and he changed them so drastically that blah 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 blah. You have heard that many times. I don't buy that much. You know why? Because of the Nadir. We are not very far away from Nadir, right? We just celebrated it less than a month ago. What happened in Nadir? You know that, right? How many people were there? 120,000 or something? What did they do? They all pledged allegiance with both Holy Prophet and Imam Ali, and it took them 3 years in the hottest day of, you can imagine. And then Holy Prophet ran the longest and the most immense and huge khutbah or sermon for them, and then talked everything that you can imagine about Islam in that khutbah. Amazing khutbah. And then what happened? How many days passed that event when the Saqifa took place and Holy Prophet demise is less than 9 days, right? What is 9 days in history? Something go by. For that event so immense, what happened? Nothing. Who came and followed Ali? Who? How many people? Less than the number of fingers in one hand. What happened? You are claiming that Holy Prophet had a miraculous way to upside down everything, so he just within a course of 20-something years or less, he so immensely changed everything. No, it's not. It's not right. History didn't show that. Yes, there have been very, very few individuals that by grace of Allah, they found the way to righteousness and they really, really changed. But it's not the community, it's not the society, it's not everybody. Here is the deal. Yes, Holy Prophet was able to resolve their fights amongst themselves and unify them and make them a real strong power. Yes, that's true. But he really managed to change their culture, their habits, their behaviors, their value system, their organization of thought, in the infrastructure of their mentality. Did he really change that? Can anybody in the right mind think of that is possible, doable within a couple of years or 10 years or so to do that? Who expected that? I mean, even a very novice person know that. It's given. Now, Holy Prophet really was so, what do I say? How do I say? So learned that expects that this society, with all that bad historical backgrounds and the corrupt culture, really changes overnight. And after him, in Nadir, he went there and appointed Ali. Oh, hooray! You are done, hooray! Everything is done. They gave political allegiance and everything else. No, it was not all that simple. He knew what's going to happen. He knew it. So, that time is the secret on the issue that makes Ashura so different. My time is almost up and they are almost getting ready to do the commemoration. I have to stop right here and seek another opportunity to talk to you, sisters and brothers, about what constitutes the philosophy of Ashura and what is that makes your presence in here so meaningful and so essential. You will learn that you are part of Ashura. You are not an observer of Ashura. You are not somebody who reads the history. You are the one who makes history. Some of the pages of the history of Ashura is made by you, every single one of you. It is not just a slogan, it's not just the imagination, it is a true blueprint, inshallah. But we need to establish the foundations of what is required for a nation to change. And if we don't have the time, what is the dynamism and mechanism and cinematism for doing that, making it happen? How can we ensure that a culture can continuously, step by step, gets better and better and better until it gets and reaches the point that it's supposed to be there? Khalifatullah for Arabs. That needs a very essential and a very well thought of design. Otherwise, it's not going to happen. And the event of Qadir proved everything, and that was not an error or a mistake. Qadir was one of the best things that could have been done at that stage of time. That is part of the scenario, and that's part of the plan. Ashura is another part of the plan, and others until we get to the Imam Nasr. These are all different sections of the one play. And that one play has the goal of reaching us to the utmost highest level of humanity and righteousness. So that's basically what we are aiming toward. Next night, other brothers will help us, and then we're going to get back to you guys, inshallah, in other occasion. May Allah bless you all, and thank you so much for being patiently